Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. Disney gets massive lawsuit over unfair Mandalorian firing. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from The Hollywood Reporter, Gina Carano sues Disney over Mandalorian firing in lawsuit funded by Elon Musk. Coming from Kotaku, Elon Musk will fund Gina Carano's lawsuit over Star Wars firing, and she's also seeking a court order to be recast on The Mandalorian. And the history of how this went down, at least according to The Hollywood Reporter, behind Disney's firing of Mandalorian star Gina Carano. We're going to start with the full statement from Gina Carano on what happened to her, how she was fired from Disney and Lucasfilm, and how she responded. From Gina Carano on Twitter: "Today is an important day for me. I am filing a lawsuit against Lucasfilm and Disney. After my 20 years of building a career from scratch and during the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, Lucasfilm made the statement on Twitter, terminating me from The Mandalorian. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable." Gina says nothing could be further from the truth. "The truth is I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time. My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me. The thing is, I never even used aggressive language. I shared thought-provoking quotes, pictures, memes, and occasionally used my own words, not with aggression, but with respect and the occasional comedy to keep the mood light in dark times. Look with your own eyes at what I posted and ask yourself, for example, where did I compare Republicans to the Jewish people in the Holocaust? I didn't. Ask yourself, why are they calling me a racist? Was there any merit behind that or history of it whatsoever? No, look at why I was called a transphobe. For making droid noises from Star Wars? Beep Bop Boop was obviously directed to the online bullies and did not in any way denigrate transgender people. Were my questions about masks, lockdowns, and forced vaccinations okay to ask and push the subject into the light? Should we have been allowed to publicly discuss those topics at the time without being harassed or censored? Absolutely. Hollywood says they support female representation and equal rights. Why then were my male co-stars permitted to speak without harassment and re-education courses or termination, but I was not afforded the same right to exercise my freedom of speech? Artists do not sign away our rights as American citizens when we enter into employment. I have spoken to all my co-stars since I was fired, and there is nothing but care and kind words between us. I respect their right to free speech and do not have to think the same way on every issue to be their friends and work with them, and I know that they feel the same way towards me." A couple of months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that if you had been fired from using the platform X or Twitter for exercising your right to free speech, he would like to offer these people legal representation. Quite the noble offer, but never in my wildest dreams would I have thought anyone would take on my case against Lucasfilm and Disney. Still, I did respond back, "I think I qualify," and thousands of people agreed, but I did not expect anything. To my surprise, a few months ago, I received an email from a lawyer who had been hired by Twitter to look into my story and many others. Turns out, after sending them as much information as I could gather these past few months, my now lawyers and Twitter believe wholeheartedly in my case and are moving forward. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thank you to Elon Musk and Twitter for giving me an opportunity to bring my case to light. As for me, I would love to pick up where I left off and continue my journey of creating and participating in storytelling, which is my utmost passion and everything I work so hard for. It has been difficult to move forward with the lies and labels stuck on me, backed and encouraged by the most powerful entertainment company in the world. I am grateful someone has come to my defense in such a powerful way and look forward to clearing my name. Thank you to all the people who have supported me and made your voices heard. I pray God blesses each and every one of you. With love, Gina Carano. This is fantastic news. Gina Carano getting some justice. From The Hollywood Reporter, Gina Carano sues Disney over Mandalorian firing in lawsuit funded by Elon Musk. In an escalation of a standoff over her firing in The Mandalorian, Gina Carano is suing Disney and Lucasfilm for discrimination and wrongful termination in a lawsuit that opens another front in the battlefield for influence over Hollywood that has drawn in corporate America. Carano, in a complaint filed on Tuesday in California federal court, alleges she was fired for voicing right-wing opinions on social media and seeks a court order that would force Lucasfilm to rehire her and let her play her character again. Elon Musk, making good on a promise to foot the legal bill for users who claim they have been discriminated against due to their activity on his platform, is helping fund the suit through Twitter. In a statement, Twitter's head of business operations said, "As a sign of Twitter's commitment to free speech, we're proud to provide financial support for Gina Carano's lawsuit, empowering her to seek vindication of her free speech rights on Twitter and the ability to work without bullying, harassment, or discrimination." Lucasfilm in 2021 announced that Carano will not be returning to the hit series after sharing a post in which she said, quote, "Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views?" It was the latest in a long string of posts in which the former MMA fighter drew the ire of social media users for positions seen as right-wing on hot-button issues. Carano, who was dropped by UTA following the controversy that was her agent, previously mocked government mandates to wear masks during the COVID-19 pandemic and falsely suggested that voter fraud occurred during the 2020 presidential election. That may not have been so false after all. We'll have to find out. Carano on Tuesday said, quote, "My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right wing extremist." According to the complaint, Disney and Lucasfilm harassed and defamed Carano for refusing to conform with their viewpoints on issues related to Black Lives Matter, preferred pronouns, and disproven claims of election interference. Well, those are really allegations of disproven claims of election interference. While she was allegedly fired for her cultural and religious beliefs, Carano argues that the entertainment giant turned a blind eye to her male co-stars who allegedly made offensive and denigrating posts directed towards Republicans. She points to Pedro Pascal's 2017 post comparing former President Donald Trump to Hitler. The suit says Disney required Carano, who was paid $25,000 per episode as a guest actor and later negotiated a one-time $5,000 bonus, to meet with representatives of the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Discrimination and demanded a public apology. Quote, "Defendants went so far as to try to convince Carano's publicist to force Carano to issue a statement admitting to mocking or insulting an entire group of people, which Carano had never done," the complaint says. After she refused, Carano was told to meet with Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and 45 employees who identify as LGBT, according to the suit. She declined and was terminated shortly after from The Mandalorian, as well as other titles in the Star Wars universe, including Rangers of the New Republic. Carano also alleges Disney engaged in a, quote, "post-termination smear campaign," citing the abrupt removal of an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls, in which she appeared from the, quote, "show's scheduled lineup" in an effort to malign her. Though the episode eventually aired, Disney allegedly omitted any mention of her name and likeness in promotional materials. The suit faults Disney's termination of Carano as the impetus for UTA and her transactional lawyer dropping her as a client. Carano brings claims for wrongful discharge and sex discrimination. She seeks a court order that would force Lucasfilm to recast her and at least $75,000 plus punitive damages. Quote, "Some of us have been unjustly singled out, harassed, persecuted, and had our livelihood stripped away because we dared to encourage conversation, asked questions, and refused to go along with the mob," she said in a statement. At-will employees who make up the majority of private sector workers often face an uphill climb in obtaining damages for terminations over problematic online posts deemed to be offensive and in violation of workplace policies. Unlike employees in the public sector, such workers are not shielded against discipline under the First Amendment. Last year, Elon Musk pledged to fund legal action for users on Twitter who claim they had faced discrimination by their employers over their activity on the platform. The offer came with no limit on costs, with Musk saying he would, quote, "go after the boards of directors on the companies too." Amid a hardening position on issues such as gender politics and race in the Republican Party, Ron DeSantis made, quote, "holding woke corporations accountable" one of the main pillars of his failed presidential campaign. Last year, he assumed control of the special tax district that controls development around Disney World in a move intended to retaliate against the company for voicing opposition to a law that limits classroom discussion on sexuality and gender. That was to protect children. And yes, there was a law that protected children in the state of Florida that was legally passed that had nothing to do with Disney until Disney decided that law didn't fit Disney's politics. They didn't like children being protected. So they fought with the state. They said the law needed to be repealed. They denigrated the state of Florida. They continue to in some of their legal filings, saying that DeSantis is anti-Florida. Terrible things. And as a result, they lost their privilege of the special district. They're allowed to do business in Florida. They're just not going to get special privileges that, say, Universal, their competitor, doesn't have when they have a mouth on them like that. They needed to be put in their place. They're trying to fight it in court. And of course, they're losing because it's a ridiculous premise to say that Disney is permanently entitled to special favors from the state while they're fighting the state's laws, the state's parents, and the state's children. Not going to happen. In addition to that, trying to link Gina Carano to Ron DeSantis to say, oh, they're both right-wing. And isn't it a conflict that Ron DeSantis wants to hold Disney accountable for what they say, but Gina Carano doesn't want to be held accountable for what she says? Those two are not related. They're not a married couple. They're two separate people, and they're coming from different positions. Gina's acting on her own. Ron DeSantis and the rest of the government of the state of Florida are acting against Disney to deny them a special privilege they were never entitled to have. They can speak all they want, but if they want to control a private government as the guest of the state of Florida, they need to watch what they say about the state of Florida, its parents, its children, and its citizens. And here's the full background of Gina Carano being fired from The Mandalorian, according to The Hollywood Reporter. This is from an article in 2021. Behind Disney's firing of Mandalorian star Gina Carano. The ouster of Gina Carano from the Star Wars show draws the ire of the political right wing and marks an inflection point for Lucasfilm, whose star was warned repeatedly about her social posts. It's a plot twist that no studio relishes. One of its high-profile stars sparks outrage with a controversial social media post. On February 10th, The Mandalorian's Gina Carano became the latest member of the Disney fold to do so, joining a list that includes Roseanne Barr, James Gunn, and others, each drawing varying degrees of action or inaction from the studio. And no studio faces greater scrutiny over its decisions than the family-friendly Hollywood giant. Remember when Disney used to be considered family-friendly? Not anymore. Now they're considered to be focused on representation. In Carano's case, the move to cut ties has been brewing for some time. In the months leading up to Disney's Investor Day presentation, December 10th, Carano's agents at UTA were negotiating for the actress to receive a sizable bump in pay for a planned spin-off of Disney's The Mandalorian that was to star her fan-favorite character, Cara Dune. The actress, whose sources say made $25,000 to $50,000 per episode of The Mandalorian, was poised to be touted during the presentation, in which Kathleen Kennedy announced 10 new Star Wars shows, including Rangers of the New Republic, a series that seemed tailor-made for Carano. But Carano was nowhere to be found during the lengthy presentation. In the lead-up to the event, Carano had become a lightning rod among Star Wars fans and a headache for Lucasfilm after a series of tweets in which she mocked mask-wearing, suggested voter fraud occurred during the 2020 election, and shared posts that some viewed as transphobic. Quote, she was originally in that presentation when they announced all those things, and they pulled her off of it, a source tells The Hollywood Reporter. A Lucasfilm source counters that Carano was never officially part of the December 10th presentation, and no negotiations for future work had taken place. 2 months later, the deal for her spin-off is dead, as is her relationship with Lucasfilm and UTA, both of whom dropped her after she shared a post suggesting that being a Republican today was akin to being Jewish in the time leading up to the Holocaust. Disney declined to comment beyond Lucasfilm's initial statement describing Carano's post as abhorrent and unacceptable. Still, Disney's decision to show Carano the door has prompted cries from the right, including from Texas Senator Ted Cruz and pundit Ben Shapiro, that the studio acts when the left is upset. Quote, I don't know what people at Disney personally believe or don't believe with regard to politics, but as a corporate entity, they want to stay as trouble-free as possible. And anything that's going to offend the left is a problem, says Crisis PR rep Judah Engelmeyer. Quote, I have clients who are making an extraordinary effort to post what the social left wants to see. Black Panther star writes December tweets, which amplified a UK minister's video that questioned the safety of the novel coronavirus vaccine and disparaged trans people, also garnered criticism, as did an August 29 media post from the Mulan star Lin, who offered support of Hong Kong police during the Chinese government's crackdown on pro-democracy protests. Sources say neither actress was talked to by Disney, which opted to let both matters blow over. The decision to banish Carano from the Disney kingdom went higher than Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau and was made by Lucasfilm executives. Carano, sources say, had repeatedly been warned by those around her about her social media behavior, with the actress even noting publicly in September that her Mandalorian co-star Pedro Pascal, who has a trans sibling, educated her about the use of pronouns after a social media flare-up. She knew it was going to alarm people, says one person in her orbit, of her recent posts. Why would you put Favreau in that position? Why would you ever have opinions and ever want to speak them if they don't agree with the left-wing Marxist communist Democrats? Carano's ouster had a domino effect, with Hasbro ending production on its popular Cara Dune action figures. Hasbro says there are no current plans to create more Dune products. Amazon appears to have pulled most of its Cara Dune toy merchandise. When asked why, an Amazon rep declined further comment. Meanwhile, the Dune action figures are seeing brisk sales on eBay at numbers well above the original list prices. Insiders say Cara Dune wasn't part of the Star Wars series Next Up, a Boba Fett spin-off, but expect that the character will be recast down the road for both story and merchandising reasons. Carano's firing comes at an inflection point for Lucasfilm, which was previously criticized for not more strongly defending Star Wars sequel trilogy stars John Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran from racist bullying online over the years. Industry observers note that for companies such as Lucasfilm, taking a stance against offensive behavior sends a signal to both employees and fans from marginalized backgrounds that they are valued. Quote, "You need an inclusive and welcoming tone set from the top," says Andre Carrington, author of Speculative Blackness, The Future of Race in Science Fiction, and Associate Professor of English at the University of California. One manager who has outspoken clients and has dealt with elements of cancel culture is advising vocal clients to cool it down politically. Says the manager, quote, "If you're too far on both sides, it hurts you." Go get him, Gina Carano. Sue Disney into oblivion. Embarrass these people. Make them resign. Get your job back and get a ton of money. Way to go, Elon Musk, for supporting Gina Carano. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.